Did you ever watch a TV show and out of nowhere you just get an absolute banger of an episode that just sticks with you? I've had this happen to me a few times in my life. Some notable mentions have been Season 2 of Angel, the second episode, Are You Now or Have You Ever Been? I won't spoil it for you, but take my word for it. It's a banger. Spook Season 2, Episode 2, I Spy Apocalypse, another great bottle episode. And as you might have guessed from the thumbnail, X-Men Evolution had a really great one-off story too, focusing on Captain America of all things, in the 14th episode of the second season, called Project Rebirth. You know, I often feel like X-Men Evolution gets kind of forgotten about. It's like X-Men the Animated Series and now X-Men 97 have taken all the oxygen in the room when people talk about the X-Men in animation. But I get it, man. I mean, X-Men the Animated Series was iconic. It's the X-Men show that everyone grew up with. If you weren't a 90s kid watching it during its original run, you def caught it on repeat on Fox Kids years later, along with episodes of Spider-Man the Animated Series and Fantastic Four. X-Men the Animated Series reached that same status level with fans that Batman the Animated Series did, where some fans would even tell you it's the best interpretation of the X-Men, even beating out the original comics. And then it went and did the impossible. It came back after 27 years away with an absolute blinder of a new season with X-Men 97. And I mean, how many shows have ever successfully done that? Come back and actually matched up to what they originally were? It's hard to think of any. I can't overstate how much of an impact this show had. I mean, even today when the writers on the live-action MCU TV shows want to vaguely gesture at something related to the X-Men or mutants, they use that X-Men animated series intro stinger for emphasis. Man, I really need to get around to that X-Men 97 video. Okay, this is a video about X-Men Evolution, not X-Men the Animated Series. So after X-Men the Animated Series ended in 96, but before it came back with X-Men 97 in 2023, there was another X-Men cartoon series that ran for almost 3 years and 52 episodes, and that show was X-Men Evolution. And I never feel like it gets the attention or the admiration it deserves. Evolution, unlike X-Men the Animated Series, didn't steadfastly tie itself to any X-Men comic book continuity, and I have to respect that, man. It was a show that wasn't afraid to throw out the source material and do its own thing, giving us totally new takes on existing characters, and even creating entirely new X-Men. Little known fact, X-23 made her debut in X-Men Evolution. Character of Spike, Evan Daniels, was created for the show, and he goes on a really satisfying character arc over the course of the series. And I feel like I need to bring this one up here. I know everyone always raves about the yellow and blue costume. Can we just take a minute and appreciate this little number? Look at how rad this costume is, man. The yellow and blue is sick. The brown and tan is also rad. But the orange and black? That's where it's at. I'm so sorry. Season 2, Episode 14, Project Rebirth, is an absolute standout of an episode, and one I used to watch on repeat as a kid. If this episode was on rerun, you can bet I was watching it. I'd even go as far as to say it was my favourite episode of the entire series. And the weird thing about it is, it's not a typical episode of X-Men Evolution either. It's way more introspective and downbeat in places than we're used to seeing in this show, dealing with some pretty heavy subject matter at times. So this episode of Evolution follows a different narrative structure from the rest of the series. There's 2 stories playing out which are connected to each other but separated by 60 years. The primary story in present day involves Nick Fury. This is also Nick Fury's first appearance in the show, recruiting Logan to track down whoever stole a backup Rebirth chamber. It was Magneto. Magneto stole it, but we'll get into that later. And the secondary story, which is told totally in flashback format, depicting Logan's partnership with Captain America as they undertake missions together in World War II. One of which is liberating a detention camp in Poland. We'll come back to that later. The episode cuts between these 2 storylines throughout. In the main story, after Logan gets recruited by Fury, he reminisces with Xavier about his time in World War II. And it's here that we get the first flashback, and man, I don't think Cap has ever had a better introduction. I mean, just take a look at this introduction for a second. Cap propels himself off a motorcycle with a somersault, then blinds the pilot of this plane with his shield, and then using that same shield takes the wing off his plane, then immediately offers aid to this fallen soldier. I mean, shit, give me a better introduction for Cap, man. Upfront from this introduction, you know right away that the writers Boyd Kirkland and Greg Johnson just get Captain America. They understand the fundamental conceit of the character. This introduction has everything. It's got that Indiana Jones World War II feel to it. It's got the over-the-top action showing off what Cap can do, and then it has a beat that underlines Cap's heroic and selfless nature. And this costume is just pitch perfect as well. I always love when Cap is shown wearing his costume under regular army standard issue. Also, this animation style just captures that Captain America World War II aesthetic so well. It has the sauce, as the kids say. Now, while this episode does have an emphasis on Logan's relationship with Cap, It's not a totally standalone episode. Kurt and Rogue are also part of this story, and they're the ones who help Logan track Magneto to his base of operations in the Sahara, and it's here while the team is en route to the Sahara that we get another flashback. Cap and Logan on their first mission together liberating a POW camp in Poland. And here, I really have to commend the writers on this sequence because it's obvious what this camp is, and who the people who are imprisoned here are. The writers are all but saying it out loud. And while on this mission, Cap carries this young boy to freedom. This kid later introduced himself as Eric Lencher. You might have guessed who this kid was before this though, because during his escape, he magnetically repels a bunch of grenades. We also learned that Cap is slowly succumbing to cellular degeneration as a result of the rebirth process. The flashback ends and we're brought back to the present and the main story again, and here we see Magneto is just about to undergo the rebirth process. And it's here that the episode takes a kind of dark turn that's not immediately obvious when you're a kid. Logan has to take care of Sabretooth, so the destruction of the chamber is left to Rogue and Nightcrawler. Well, actually, it's left up to Nightcrawler after Rogue gets incapacitated almost immediately. And you see, Nightcrawler, when priming the explosives, ends up getting distracted by Magneto, who is trying to talk him out of blowing the chamber. And when I said that this scene has an underlying darker tone to it, this is what I mean. Logan starts commanding Nightcrawler to blow the chamber anyway, even though he's fully aware that there is someone inside of it, and that the explosion will absolutely kill them. Even Rogue gets in on it.
Kurt! Forget him! Just get on with it!
What are you waiting for, kid? Pull the pin!
And just in case you think that Logan believes that the explosion won't kill whoever's inside the chamber, and that it'll just destroy the controls of the machine, just before Logan primes the charge to go off himself, he deliberately goes out of his way to pull Magneto out. And if you were still in any doubt that Logan thought Magneto could have survived this, well, here's what that explosion looks like. Also, here's Magneto later confirming to Kurt that he spared his life by not setting that charge.
However, you spared my life, so I will spare yours.
So yeah, the implication of Logan ordering Nightcrawler to blow the chamber is that this chamber has to go even if it means the team has to take a life to accomplish the mission. And just think about that for a moment. Nightcrawler, who is a teenager in high school mind you in this continuity, was ordered by Logan, his commander, to pull the pin on an explosive device that would for sure have killed someone. It doesn't matter if that person was Magneto, it was still an order from Logan to take a life. It just shows you how desperate Logan is to destroy this chamber. I could see X-Force for sure carrying out a mission that would have some degree of moral dilemma or collateral damage like this, but it hits different when it's members of the main X-Men team, who are kids in this continuity no less, having to get their hands dirty. Now if this were a typical episode, after the chamber gets destroyed, this would be where the episode would end. The mission accomplished, the X-Men would just go back home to Bayville. Yes, Bayville, not Westchester, where the X-Men usually operate out of. But the episode doesn't end here. The actual ending is a lot more somber. You could be forgiven for thinking that this version of Cap actually succumbed to cellular degeneration since he was barely even able to stand the last time we saw him, and also with how Logan keeps referring to Cap in the past tense throughout the episode. But no, he's not dead. It turns out Cap was actually put into suspended animation shortly after he and Logan destroyed that first Rebirth chamber. In the final scene of the episode, Logan pays Cap a visit, and in one of the rare moments in the show, you see Logan, who is usually the most emotionally reserved and stoic of the X-Men, barely hold it together as he says goodbye to Cap again. And it's a scene that really hits you in the gut because Logan just looks and sounds so, well, sad and despondent throughout. We see Logan as this gruff mentor figure that the younger X-Men look up to, but Cap is the guy that Logan looks up to, and it kills him to see him like this. And this last shot really hit me when I was a kid. Steve has been kept in this cold dark room for 60 years, and he's going to remain here for God knows how much longer until a cure is found, which doesn't sound like it's coming anytime soon. The final shot just lingers on Cap's chamber in this cold dark place, then fades to black. That's such a harrowing image, man. It's stark. Project Rebirth, it's a great Captain America story, and it's one where Cap never actually says a single word. And I could say that Cap's presence in this episode is even more powerful because he never speaks. Cap not speaking gives him this almost mythic dimension. Everything you learn about him is told to you by the main characters, or from their interactions with Cap where you learn how they perceive him. It's all communicated with framing. And for as much as I'm calling this one of the best Captain America stories, Cap is barely in this thing. Cap's story, which is the B story of the episode, is told in brief, and I mean very brief flashbacks. But the flashbacks and the way that they're framed just do such a great job of getting the character of Cap right. You could take this episode, give it to somebody who doesn't know a single thing about Captain America, and after watching it, they could come away knowing exactly who Captain America is and what he's all about. This episode captures the stoicism, the heroism, and the inspirational nature of Cap perfectly, and it accomplishes it without Cap ever having to say a single word. What makes Cap's appearance all the more special is that X-Men Evolution didn't mention other Marvel heroes. Unlike the 90s Marvel superhero animated shows, which all shared the same universe, Evolution didn't exist in a broader world where other characters like Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four would just show up every now and again. Outside of this shout out to the Daily Bugle in On Angel's Wings, you never saw or even heard about other Marvel superheroes. So Captain America showing up as the focal point of an episode felt special. It felt like an event, you know? Like I said, X-Men Evolution is pretty famous for not following the comics religiously and kind of going in its own direction with the characters, and Cap is no different. Rogers makes some changes, not major ones, but they put their stamp on the character for sure. They tweak a few things and try to do something different with Cap we haven't seen before, and I always appreciate that, man. Probably the biggest change that the writers make is with Cap's origin. We all know the story of Steve Rogers, the 110-pound weakling who gets doused with Vita Rays and then gets a spin in the Rebirth chamber and comes out the other side Captain America. All of that is left intact, but there's one big change. The Rebirth process which makes Steve into Cap is actually shown to be slowly killing him due to cellular breakdown. Another thing you might notice is that Bucky is nowhere to be seen here. I guess he just never existed in this universe, and Logan was the only partner Cap ever had. Again, a small change, but a significant one to the lore of Captain America. I just miss episodes of TV like this, man. Right now, with the way TV shows are produced, I feel like we just don't get single hard-hitting standalone episodes like this as much anymore. Shows are plotted to be between 10 to 12 episodes on average now, so there just isn't enough space in a single season of a TV series to focus on anything other than the main storyline. And that's a real shame, man, because bottle episodes like this, when done right, can be some of the strongest and most memorable stories in a show's run. What makes Project Rebirth such a great episode isn't just that it has Captain America in it. No, it's the subject matter and the way it's handled. Project Rebirth handles some really heavy topics relating to war and loss and grief in a really affecting way. It's an episode that's not afraid to ask a little bit more of its audience. So kind of a different video this time. Been wanting to talk about X-Men Evolution for a while now, and this episode in particular has been on my mind for... Jesus. X-Men Evolution, man, let me know what you think about it. It's a show I feel that has almost no discourse around it. Let me know what you thought of Project Rebirth in the comments. I can't be the only one that this episode left an impression on. Like, share and subscribe and all that. And as always, thanks for watching.